Whether you're grabbing a 2025 Tesla Model Y or a Tesla Model 3, or you've simply got your sights set on a refreshed Tesla Model Y, I guarantee there's a tip or trick that you're missing out on, either between the buying process or on the ownership side of things. And that's why I've put together this very waffle-free video, because every Tesla Model Y and Tesla Model 3 owner, or even those that plan to be owners, must know these 10 tips. So if you haven't seen me before, I've owned and made weekly videos on both my Tesla Model 3 and Tesla Model Y since 2020, and funnily enough, you've actually managed to accumulate a wide spread of interesting facts, but also a whole host of random stuff too. Anyhow, lots to discuss, so if this video sounds like an interesting insight, I'd appreciate if you could just hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Right, let's get deep into these tips in no particular order of significance. So to kickstart with something that went under the radar last year that should raise a cheeky eyebrow, did you know if something should go wrong with your Tesla, Tesla state that 80% of repairs can be dealt with by mobile service. Now that means that Tesla will come to you to resolve maintenance issues 80% of the time. But surely that comes at a cost to them. Well, if you bought your new Tesla in 2025, and even since the start of 2024, Tesla actually increased the general warranty terms for consumers from 4 years of ownership or 50,000 miles, whichever one comes first, to 4 years of ownership or 60,000 miles. Now Tesla actually backdated this to a whole bunch of cars already bought during this time, including my own. So this means more miles can be driven worry-free, for which, to me and for you, that means keeping more of our money should it need a repair over this period. So has Tesla increased its warranty because there's a public perception of poor durability? Well, this leads me brilliantly to my next point, which is hot off the press. A UK study from Nature finds Tesla leads in vehicle longevity and mileage against other BEVs, petrol and diesel cars. But how did this study come to this conclusion? Well, the study, which is extremely detailed, dialed through MOT test data itself, which those outside the UK, this is an annual roadworthy test, and these are required when a car hits 3 years old and are then required to take place annually thereafter. In terms of the test data, it's reported to have had 300 million tests spanning almost 2 decades. So long story short, tons of data over the number of different brands and powertrains. And what's important for you to know about longevity before we move on to the next tip, as per the study, Tesla's electric vehicles are expected to cover an average of 204,000 miles over their lifetime. Yes, average, not maximum, average. And this ended up surpassing all other brands regardless of powertrain, as noted in a report from optimum. I don't know if I said that right. This also significantly outpaced its EV alternatives, which stood at 124,000 miles in comparison. The leading gasoline car brand was Audi, but that could only manage an estimated lifetime mileage of 143,000 miles over a 20.9 year period. Knowing this, you can now probably understand why Tesla's decision to increase the warranty mileage was actually made from a position of strength and not from weakness. Well, that's what I take from this study. Moving on to the purchase side, is it possible to achieve a discount on the purchase price of a brand new Tesla Model Y or Tesla Model 3? And yes, it is. And I count 5 different ways that you can achieve this. The first being via a referral link, like mine in the description of the video. The second being military discount for those that live in the US. Specifically, this is available to military veterans, retirees, active duty members, and their spouses, I believe. The third being a straight up existing inventory discount, noting some of the 2025 Tesla Model Ys in different jurisdictions currently have a time limited opportunity. You can also combine the referral bonus with the inventory models too via the referral link, and they can even include demo cars that generally have a price adjustment to them. Fourth way is from the time limited special finance offers, and since early 2024 Tesla have tended to favour preferential interest rates over straight up price reductions. But the best bit about this again is that you can actually still generally bolt on the referral bonus too. And it's also important just to highlight the time limited nature again here. So if the deadline passes, your opportunity at that finance rate could have gone. The final way is government incentives, and now this isn't available everywhere around the world, I'm afraid, but in the US at present I understand that there is federal and state credits available, but again it's all subject to change, so it's always worth a cheeky check to see if you're eligible for any state grants or subsidies where you live. Moving on to a question everyone needs to know: how often should you charge your Tesla Model Y? Seems a pretty obvious question to ask, But is there a perfect answer? Well, if you charged your Tesla EV like we refueled a petrol car, you'd be doing it all wrong. As even Tesla say that there is no advantage to waiting until the battery's level is low before charging. In fact, the battery performs best when charged regularly. Therefore, to conclude this point, my thoughts are that you shouldn't dip below 20% unless you really need to. If you have a LFP powered Tesla Model Y rear-wheel drive, you need to ensure that you charge it to 100% at least once a week. Now, if you have an NMC, LG or Panasonic battery, and these are found predominantly in the Model Y long range or performance models, then do charge to 80 to 90% for general day-to-day usage and 100% for those days when you're stretching your limits of your daily range requirements. Okay, Adam, what happens if you know you won't be driving your Tesla EV for a long period of time? Say, for example, you are going on holiday, or for maybe health reasons that you can't drive your car for a long period of time at least. For me, I'd crank your battery down to a 50 to 60% stated charge, but leave it plugged into a charger, as the most important way to preserve the high voltage battery is simply to leave your vehicle plugged in when you're not using it. Don't forget to turn off any Sentry mode or cabin overheat protection if you're in a position where maybe you can't leave it plugged in, say you're at an airport car park perhaps. And if you do leave them on, you'll probably come back to quite a fright. So if you do it right, you should only lose around 1% a day in the worst case scenario. Based on my experience though, it does perform a lot better than that. Okay, next up, one thing that I did with both my Teslas and more so with my Tesla Model Y is to add a bunch of accessories to enhance your ownership experience with my Tesla Model Y. And I have partnered up with one of Tesla's leading third-party providers, Jawa. I have a whole host of accessories that have made my ownership experience just way more convenient and or just, comforting. From Jawa's 3D style mats that are extremely beneficial in winter, directly over the OEM Tesla provided carpeted mats, essential for those, with young families or dogs, to just convenient organizational trays to wireless gaming controllers, to their brand new memory foam cushions and more. All these accessories, they've made my Tesla ownership experience that next step level more convenient, from cleaning to organization to just plain comfort. Being a partner, I have a direct affiliate link to the products that I own, plus an exclusive discount code for you to use should you also find something to enhance your Tesla ownership. Check out the links in the video description of the video to take advantage of that. Next up, for some new Tesla owners, at some point you may get a completely black screen on startup. Maybe the screen actually may be frozen. If you're unfortunate enough to come across one of these technical issues for any reason, there is a go-to fix for this. Effectively, this is the Tesla version of turning it on and off again. All you do is you push down both the scroll buttons here on the steering wheel with your foot on the brake for around 10 seconds, and you'll know if this works, as the screen should then go blank and then go black, followed by the T for Tesla logo that should pop up on the screen to confirm that the startup sequence has recommenced. It should take around 30 seconds to a minute to reboot thereafter. Admittedly, these scenarios aren't a frequent occurrence, but if it does happen, I just want you to know not to panic and just to try this go-to fix. Generally, this will do the trick in fixing it, but at the very least, before you submit a service ticket, you don't get Tesla asking you to do this whole turn it on and off again thing like you're talking to an IT department. Okay, next up, I'll be real with you guys. If you haven't brought a Tesla EV yet, you need to know this. You'll drive it more than you anticipate. And I was personally told this before I got my Tesla Model 3 back in 2020 when we had all those travel restrictions. And I thought the answer was obvious. But the reality was, if it wasn't for those stay-at-home orders, I probably would have racked up way more mileage than I actually did. In this Tesla Model Y, about 10 weeks into ownership, I ended up racking up about 2,800 miles, which I then calculated, if I analysed that, I'd be closer to 15,000 miles a year. And fast forward to 8 months, that mileage curve has thankfully smoothed out a little. But the driving experience is infectious, and you could quite easily rack up one hell of an excess mileage charge by the end of your finance term if you actually wanted to. Thankfully, in my circumstance, I think my charge per mile over my annual mileage limit is like 10 pence a mile or something like that. It's not too drastic on the wallet if I actually do creep over. But one thing to consider when buying a new Tesla, you'll enjoy the drive more than you think, so do take that on board. Okay, moving on to the next tip, the Tesla phone app and a hidden feature. Now, this is probably something that I've gatekept up, simply not brought up for quite a while. When you actually boot your app, make sure that you have the unlatch door widget as your top 4 go-to widgets. And this will help you unlock the driver's door even when your door handle is well and truly frozen. And you'll be thanking me when you're running late for work that day and it's super icy and you can't get into the car because it's frozen and you're already late. So how do you speed that all up, do you ask? Well, hopefully you remember this video and how you can actually outsmart the icy conditions using this unlatch door widget feature. Now, if you're thinking this is available as standard from the get-go, yes, you're right, but this widget isn't set as the original top 4. It's actually hidden to all new owners. But all you need to do is literally press and hold one of the other icons and you can have a new selection of customizations for which you just need to then pick and add the unlatched door widget accordingly. For me personally, I actually keep mine there all year round for the worst of winter, but you're actually free to customize your widgets as you wish. You may actually find a different widget that you may find more useful than the original top 4. My 10th and final point is an absolute staple, and if you've just got here, I definitely save the best to last. Whether you're a new or current Tesla owner, don't drive with miles remaining. Don't do it unless you like to set yourself up for disappointment, as it's a perception disaster because miles remaining is always wrong. And I know it means well, but just always falls short. Probably the story of my life. Anyhow, whilst it is tempting to have miles remaining set, don't fall for it. Percentage remaining is actually the most consumer friendly metric to use. And this is because just like your iPhone or iPad, this doesn't tell you your screen time remaining. No, it just tells you how much power is stored in the battery with a percentage. How you then use that power remaining is totally at your discretion, and that's the same with your Tesla, because if you're streaming a 4K video on your phone, playing a blockbuster mobile game, this is going to be far more power consuming than just listening to your Oasis playlist that you made on Apple Music. So don't look back in anger if you're pounding on the accelerator, driving up mountains, using more power than typical usage as you're watching your predicted miles remaining rapidly plummet. Psychologically, this is going to be more noticeable going from 250 miles to 0 miles than 100% to 0% too. How you actually use your battery power differs with every trip, from the elevation to temperature, weather and the speed that you drive. Day-to-day percentage remaining will make you feel more at ease with it all. Noting charging overnight does actually restore you back to 100% again. And for those longer trips, utilizing Tesla's navigation will also be less anxious with percentage remaining than miles remaining. So don't fall for it. Use percentage remaining 100% of the time to be at ease with any sort of range anxiety that you may feel you have. So to conclude, I hope these Tesla Model Y and Tesla Model 3 tips and tricks will help you in your Tesla EV ownership journey. If you know of any other tips that are even better than the unlatched door widget, do let me know in the comment section below, as I well and truly want to hear it. If you haven't already, don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, do share the video and check out some of the links in the video description below. You folks have been great, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.